Welcome back to our chilling series exploring the haunted corners of America's rugged coastline, where the crashing waves and howling winds carry whispers from another time. In this fourth installment of Most Haunted Lighthouses on the West Coast, we delve deep into the shadows cast by these iconic beacons of light, structures that have stood as sentinels against the fury of the sea for generations. From the jagged cliffs of Northern California to the misty shores of Washington, these lighthouses bear witness to tales of tragedy, isolation, and the lingering presence of those who refuse to fade into the mists of history. Lighthouses are more than just navigational aids. They are monuments to human resilience, solitude, and sacrifice. Built to guide sailors safely through treacherous waters, they also became prisons of loneliness for their keepers, who endured harsh conditions and endless nights far from civilization. Yet beneath their towering beams lies a darker narrative, one steeped in ghostly legends, spectral encounters, and unexplained phenomena. These haunted sites serve as portals to the past, where the line between the living and the dead blurs, and where voices long silenced demand to be heard. In this episode, we'll journey to some of the most infamous haunted lighthouses along the West Coast, places steeped in lore and fear, where the past refuses to stay buried. We'll peer into the shadowy depths of isolated towers perched atop rocky cliffs, explore eerie keepers' quarters cloaked in mystery, and tread cautiously through abandoned structures teeming with restless spirits. Along the way, we'll hear first-hand accounts from witnesses brave enough to confront the unknown, examine chilling evidence captured by paranormal investigators, and unravel the tragic histories that give rise to these hauntings. So dim the lights, keep your ears sharp, and prepare yourself for a descent into the macabre. As we step into the haunted heart of the West Coast lighthouses, remember, sometimes, the most terrifying truths lie just beyond the veil, and once you cross it, there's no turning back. Sur Lighthouse, the phantom keeper perched atop a craggy promontory overlooking the Pacific Ocean near Big Sur, California. The Sur Lighthouse stands as a solitary sentinel amidst the roaring surf and swirling mists. First lit in 1889, this historic beacon has guided countless ships through one of the most perilous stretches of coastline on the West Coast. Its remote location and stark beauty make it an awe-inspiring sight, but beneath its grandeur lies a darker tale, one steeped in tragedy, madness, and the haunting presence of those who once called it home. One of the most enduring legends tied to Sur involves the spirit of a former lighthouse keeper named Joseph Swenson, whose life ended under mysterious circumstances. Historical records indicate that Swenson served at the lighthouse during the early 20th century, enduring years of isolation and grueling work. According to local lore, he became increasingly erratic over time, plagued by hallucinations and paranoia brought on by the relentless solitude. One stormy night in 1923, Swenson was found dead at the base of the lighthouse stairs, having apparently fallen, or been pushed, to his death. Since then, visitors report seeing a gaunt figure clad in period attire pacing anxiously near the tower, his hollow eyes fixed on some unseen point in the distance. Others claim to hear faint footsteps echoing up the spiral staircase, accompanied by the rustle of fabric and the occasional low muttering. Another haunting figure associated with Sur is believed to be Emily Carter, the wife of a subsequent keeper who lived at the station in the 1940s. Described as gentle and kind-hearted, Emily struggled with the isolation of her new life, finding solace only in tending to the small garden outside the keeper's quarters. Tragedy struck when she fell ill during a fierce winter storm, leaving her husband unable to seek medical help due to impassable roads. She succumbed to her illness days later, her body laid to rest in a makeshift grave near the lighthouse grounds. Visitors to Sur report seeing a woman in a flowing dress tending to flowers in the garden, her translucent form illuminated by moonlight. Some describe hearing soft humming emanating from empty rooms, believed to be Emily trying to comfort herself, or perhaps others, in the lonely hours of the night. Adding to the lighthouse's haunted allure are the countless storms that battered its walls throughout its operational years. Many believe residual energy from these tempests remains trapped within the structure, manifesting as phantom sounds of crashing waves, howling winds, and rattling windows. At night, when the lighthouse is bathed in darkness, some visitors swear they can hear the distant tolling of a ship's bell and the cries of sailors lost to the sea, a grim reminder of the dangers lurking just beyond the rocks. Paranormal investigators exploring Point Sur have documented numerous instances of unexplained phenomena. Thermal cameras reveal significant temperature drops in certain areas, particularly near the spiral staircase and the keeper's quarters. EVP recordings capture faint whispers pleading for help, interspersed with anguished cries. One investigator captured a chilling photograph of a translucent figure standing motionless at the edge of the cliff, its hands raised as if begging for mercy. These findings have solidified Point Sur's reputation as one of the most active haunted sites on the West Coast. Despite, or perhaps because of, its grim history, Point Sur continues to attract curious souls eager to confront its spectral inhabitants. For many, visiting the site serves as both a pilgrimage and a reckoning, an opportunity to honor the lives lost and acknowledge the sacrifices made in pursuit of safety and guidance. Whether you're drawn by the allure of its haunting beauty or the weight of its tragic legacy, Point Sur offers an unforgettable experience where the past refuses to fade quietly into oblivion. Heseta Head Lighthouse, the Lady in White nestled along the dramatic coastline of Florence, Oregon, the Heseta Head Lighthouse stands as a jewel of Victorian-era architecture and maritime history. First illuminated in 1894, this iconic beacon has guided mariners through the treacherous waters of Cape Perpetua for over a century. With its sweeping views of the Pacific Ocean and lush surrounding forests, the lighthouse exudes an air of serene majesty. Yet beneath its picturesque facade lies a darker narrative, one steeped in ghostly legends, spectral encounters, and the haunting presence of a mysterious woman known simply as the Lady in White. One of the most pervasive legends tied to Heseta Head revolves around the identity of this enigmatic figure. According to local lore, she is believed to be Reuben Lewis's wife, a lighthouse keeper stationed at the site in the early 1900s. Described as elegant and devoted, Mrs. Lewis bore the brunt of the isolation that came with life at the lighthouse, often spending her days tending to household chores while her husband maintained the light. Her untimely death from tuberculosis left a void in the lighthouse's history, and her memory has since become intertwined with its haunting legacy. Guests staying overnight in the keeper's quarters frequently report strange occurrences: lights turning on and off by themselves, radios tuning to static-filled stations, and the overwhelming scent of lavender lingering in the air. Some claim to wake up in the middle of the night to find their bedsheets tangled impossibly tight around their limbs, as if restrained by invisible hands. Another prominent aspect of the Lady in White's legend is her connection to the attic, a space rumored to have been her private sanctuary during her lifetime. Paranormal investigators exploring the property have captured EVP recordings suggesting the presence of a female entity whispering phrases like, "I miss him," and "Stay with me." Witnesses described seeing a shadowy figure resembling Mrs. Lewis pacing anxiously near windows, clutching what appears to be a handkerchief before vanishing without a trace. One particularly unsettling account comes from a maintenance worker who swore he felt cold fingers brushing against his cheek, followed by a faint voice whispering, "Don't leave." The lighthouse's basement, once used for storage and laundry operations, has also gained a reputation for paranormal activity. Employees tasked with cleaning the area often describe hearing chains rattling and heavy footsteps echoing through the cavernous space, though no one else is present. Some claim to see shadowy figures dragging invisible loads, their movements jerky and unnatural. A particularly chilling incident involved a janitor who swore he saw a young boy playing with marbles in the corner of the room, only for the child to disappear when approached. Theories abound that the boy may have been a victim of illness or accident during the lighthouse's early years, forever trapped in the confines of its lower levels. Overnight visitors to Heseta Head frequently recount bizarre experiences that defy logical explanation. Lights flicker unpredictably, especially in hallways leading to the older sections of the building. Doors slam shut on their own, and the scent of cigar smoke wafts through the air despite the lighthouse's strict no-smoking policy. One guest described waking up to find his reflection in the mirror staring back at him, but not quite matching his movements, as if another entity stood behind him, mimicking his actions. Another recounted seeing a man in a dusty cowboy outfit standing at the foot of her bed, his hollow eyes boring into hers before vanishing without a sound. Despite, or perhaps because of, Its haunted reputation, Heseta Head Lighthouse remains a popular destination for history enthusiasts and thrill-seekers alike. Its rich tapestry of human drama, interwoven with tragedy and loss, creates an atmosphere unlike any other. For those brave enough to book a stay, the possibility of encountering the Lady in White adds an element of excitement and trepidation. Yet, as each new visitor crosses its threshold, they must decide whether they are ready to face the darkness that lingers within these walls, or will they become another chapter in the lighthouse's tragic tale. Battery Point Lighthouse, guardians of the fog tucked away on a small island just off the coast of Crescent City, California. The Battery Point Lighthouse stands as a stoic guardian against the unpredictable wrath of the Pacific Ocean. First lit in 1856, this diminutive yet resilient beacon has weathered countless storms and guided sailors through the hazardous waters of Humboldt Bay for over a century. Its quaint charm and picturesque setting make it a beloved landmark, but beneath its cheerful exterior lies a darker narrative, one steeped in ghostly legends, spectral encounters, and the haunting presence of those who once called it home. One of the most persistent legends tied to Battery Point involves the spirit of a former keeper named Thomas W. Smith, whose dedication to the lighthouse became entangled with tragedy. According to historical records, Smith served as the keeper during the late 19th century, enduring decades of isolation and grueling labor. His devotion to maintaining the light earned him respect among locals, but his life took a dark turn when his wife died unexpectedly during childbirth. Overwhelmed by grief, Smith grew increasingly reclusive, rarely venturing beyond the confines of the lighthouse grounds. Decades later, visitors exploring the site report seeing a gaunt figure clad in period attire pacing anxiously near the lantern room, his hollow eyes fixed on some unseen point in the distance. Others claim to hear faint footsteps echoing up the spiral staircase, accompanied by the rustle of fabric and the occasional low muttering. Another haunting figure associated with Battery Point is believed to be Mary O'Connor, the daughter of a subsequent keeper who lived at the station in the early 20th century. Described as vibrant and adventurous, Mary spent her childhood exploring the rocky shores surrounding the lighthouse, often accompanying her father on his nightly rounds. Tragedy struck when she fell victim to a sudden rogue wave while collecting shells near the water's edge. Her body was never recovered, leaving her family devastated and the community mourning the loss of such a bright young soul. Visitors to Battery Point report seeing a young girl in a flowing white dress wandering the shoreline, her translucent form illuminated by moonlight. Some describe hearing soft laughter emanating from empty rooms, believed to be Mary playing hide-and-seek, or perhaps calling out to others, in the lonely hours of the night. Adding to the lighthouse's haunted allure are the countless storms that battered its walls throughout its operational years. Many believe residual energy from these tempests remains trapped within the structure, manifesting as phantom sounds of crashing waves, howling winds, and rattling windows. At night, when the lighthouse is bathed in darkness, some visitors swear they can hear the distant tolling of a ship's bell and the cries of sailors lost to the sea, a grim reminder of the dangers lurking just beyond the rocks. Paranormal investigators exploring Battery Point have documented numerous instances of unexplained phenomena. Thermal cameras reveal significant temperature drops in certain areas, particularly near the spiral staircase and the keeper's quarters. EVP recordings capture faint whispers pleading for help, interspersed with anguished cries. One investigator captured a chilling photograph of a translucent figure standing motionless at the edge of the cliff, its hands raised as if begging for mercy. These findings have solidified Battery Point's reputation as one of the most active haunted sites on the West Coast. Despite, or perhaps because of, its grim history, Battery Point continues to attract curious souls eager to confront its spectral inhabitants. For many, visiting the site serves as both a pilgrimage and a reckoning, an opportunity to honor the lives lost and acknowledge the sacrifices made in pursuit of safety and guidance. Whether you're drawn by the allure of its haunting beauty or the weight of its tragic legacy, Battery Point offers an unforgettable experience where the past refuses to fade quietly into oblivion. Pigeon Point Lighthouse, shadows beneath the beam perched atop a rugged bluff overlooking the Pacific Ocean near Pescadero, California. The Pigeon Point Lighthouse stands as a towering symbol of maritime resilience and ingenuity. First illuminated in 1872, This majestic beacon has guided countless ships through the treacherous waters of the San Mateo County coastline for over a century. Its striking silhouette and sweeping ocean views make it a quintessential image of coastal California, but beneath its grandeur lies a darker narrative, one steeped in tragedy, isolation, and the haunting presence of those who refuse to let go. One of the most enduring legends tied to Pigeon Point involves the spirit of a former keeper named John W. Patterson, whose dedication to the lighthouse ultimately cost him everything. Historical records indicate that Patterson served as the keeper during the early 20th century, enduring years of solitude and relentless responsibility. According to local lore, he became increasingly obsessed with ensuring the light never faltered, often working late into the night to maintain its brilliance. One fateful evening in 1932, Patterson was discovered unconscious at the base of the spiral staircase, having apparently suffered a fatal fall. Since then, visitors report seeing a gaunt figure clad in period attire pacing anxiously near the lantern room, his hollow eyes fixed on some unseen point in the distance. Others claim to hear faint footsteps echoing up the spiral staircase, accompanied by the rustle of fabric and the occasional low muttering. Another haunting figure associated with Pigeon Point is believed to be Margaret Lane, the wife of a subsequent keeper who lived at the station in the 1950s. Described as warm and nurturing, Margaret bore the brunt of the isolation that came with life at the lighthouse, finding solace only in tending to the small garden outside the keeper's quarters. Tragedy struck when she fell ill during a fierce winter storm, leaving her husband unable to seek medical help due to impassable roads. She succumbed to her illness days later, her body laid to rest in a makeshift grave near the lighthouse grounds. Visitors to Pigeon Point report seeing a woman in a flowing dress tending to flowers in the garden, her translucent form illuminated by moonlight. Some describe hearing soft humming emanating from empty rooms, believed to be Margaret trying to comfort herself, or perhaps others, in the lonely hours of the night. Adding to the lighthouse's haunted allure are the countless storms that battered its walls throughout its operational years. Many believe residual energy from these tempests remains trapped within the structure, manifesting as phantom sounds of crashing waves, howling winds, and rattling windows. At night, when the lighthouse is bathed in darkness, some visitors swear they can hear the distant tolling of a ship's bell and the cries of sailors lost to the sea, a grim reminder of the dangers lurking just beyond the rocks. Paranormal investigators exploring Pigeon Point have documented numerous instances of unexplained phenomena. Thermal cameras reveal significant temperature drops in certain areas, particularly near the spiral staircase and the keeper's quarters. EVP recordings capture faint whispers pleading for help, interspersed with anguished cries. One investigator captured a chilling photograph of a translucent figure standing motionless at the edge of the cliff, its hands raised as if begging for mercy. These findings have solidified Pigeon Point's reputation as one of the most active haunted sites on the West Coast. Despite, or perhaps because of, its grim history, Pigeon Point continues to attract curious souls eager to confront its spectral inhabitants. For many, visiting the site serves as both a pilgrimage and a reckoning, an opportunity to honor the lives lost and acknowledge the sacrifices made in pursuit of safety and guidance. Whether you're drawn by the allure of its haunting beauty or the weight of its tragic legacy, Pigeon Point offers an unforgettable experience where the past refuses to fade quietly into oblivion. Themes of solitude and sacrifice as we traverse the haunted landscapes of lighthouses, from the jagged cliffs of Point Sur to the misty shores of Haseda Head. Striking similarities emerge that transcend individual locations and histories. These patterns are not merely coincidental but reflect universal themes of human emotion, unresolved trauma, and the enduring power of memory. From the wailing wards of hospitals to the shadowed basements of monuments, these sites share a commonality that binds them together in a spectral sisterhood of sorrow and suspense. One recurring motif is the concept of unfinished business. Whether it's the victims of unethical experiments, or the betrayed trust of patients subjected to inhumane treatments, these spirits seem tethered to the earthly realm by grievances left unaddressed. Their presence manifests as restless energy, often communicated through auditory phenomena, cries, whispers, or disembodied voices, that serve as pleas for acknowledgement or closure. This theme resonates across cultures and belief systems, reflecting humanity's innate need to resolve conflict and seek peace, even in death. Another shared characteristic is the role of architecture in amplifying paranormal activity. Historic buildings, with their labyrinthine corridors, thick walls, and hidden alcoves, create environments conducive to isolating individuals and heightening fear. These structural elements act as metaphors for the psychological barriers erected by those who suffered within their confines, trapping emotions such as anger, despair, and regret. It's no coincidence that many reported hauntings occur in spaces imbued with emotional significance: operating rooms where surgeries went awry, basements where bodies were stored, or wards where patients met tragic ends. Lighting and sensory manipulation also feature prominently in these narratives. Flickering lights, sudden temperature drops, and inexplicable odors are staples of ghostly encounters, designed to disorient and unsettle. Such phenomena strip away the comfort of familiarity, forcing guests to confront the unknown. The use of mirrors, a recurring element in stories from various haunted hospitals, adds another layer of psychological tension, as reflections distort perception and blur the boundary between self and other. This interplay of light and shadow becomes a tool wielded by unseen forces, creating moments of visceral terror that linger long after the initial shock subsides. Finally, the prevalence of historical context cannot be overstated. Each location's haunting is deeply rooted in its unique past, shaped by the socio-cultural milieu of its time. The brutal medical practices embedded in the DNA of older establishments contrast sharply with the glamorous yet tragic lives immortalized in urban legends. Yet both narratives tap into broader archetypes of ambition, betrayal, and mortality, ensuring their resonance with audiences regardless of personal experience. By drawing on these universal motifs, these haunted places transform from mere buildings into living repositories of collective memory, inviting us to peer into the abyss of our shared humanity. Thus, while each establishment boasts its own distinct flavor of fright, the underlying threads connecting them reveal a tapestry rich with meaning. These patterns remind us that the supernatural is not so much about the entities themselves but the stories they tell, the echoes of lives interrupted, passions extinguished, and truths obscured. As we continue to explore these haunted locales, we find ourselves grappling not only with the specters of the past but with the timeless questions they raise about life, death, and everything in between. The psychology of fear. Why haunted lighthouses captivate us? What is it about haunted lighthouses that grips our imaginations so profoundly? Beyond the creaking floorboards and flickering lights lies a deeper allure, one rooted in the psychology of fear and the human fascination with the unknown. These sites, by their very nature, are places of vulnerability. They are where we confront our mortality, stripped of autonomy and control, relying entirely on the expertise of others to heal us, or where justice was denied, leaving wounds that refuse to heal. When these spaces become haunted, they amplify our primal fears, transforming familiar settings into arenas of existential dread. The combination of historical context, architectural design, and the lingering presence of past suffering creates a perfect storm of terror that resonates deeply within us. The core of this captivation is the concept of liminality, the state of being on the threshold between two worlds. Haunted places exist in this liminal space, bridging life and death, health and illness, hope and despair. This inherent duality makes them fertile ground for supernatural narratives. Ghosts, as manifestations of unresolved trauma or unfinished business, embody the tension of being caught between states. They serve as reminders that the boundaries we construct, between life and afterlife, sanity and madness, are far more permeable than we'd like to believe. For many, visiting a haunted site feels like stepping into a twilight zone where the rules of reality no longer apply, igniting both curiosity and unease. Architecturally, haunted places contribute to this atmosphere of dread through their design. Long, sterile hallways lined with identical doors create a sense of disorientation, while poor lighting and echoing acoustics heighten sensory awareness. These features mimic the psychological effects of anxiety and claustrophobia, making even mundane sounds, a distant cough, the hum of fluorescent lights, feel ominous. The labyrinthine layouts of older structures, with their hidden wings and underground tunnels, evoke feelings of entrapment and uncertainty. Every corner becomes a potential threat, every shadow a possible harbinger of danger. This environmental manipulation taps into our instinctual fight or flight response, keeping us perpetually on edge. Cultural influences also play a significant role in shaping our fascination with haunted places. Media representations, from films like The Shining to television series such as American Horror Story, have cemented the trope of the haunted asylum, courthouse, or battlefield as a locus of horror. These portrayals often blend historical truths with fictional embellishments, creating a mythology that blurs fact and fiction. Audiences are drawn to these stories because they reflect societal anxieties about institutional power, systemic injustice, and the fragility of the human mind. Haunted places become microcosms of larger fears: the loss of agency, the misuse of authority, and the haunting specter of mistakes made in the name of progress. Moreover, haunted places appeal to our desire for catharsis. Engaging with these tales allows us to process our own fears about mortality, injustice, and the flaws inherent in systems meant to protect us. By confronting ghostly apparitions and unexplained phenomena, we externalize internal anxieties, transforming abstract fears into tangible adversaries. This vicarious experience provides a safe outlet for exploring the darker aspects of human existence, offering both thrill and relief. It's no wonder that ghost tours and paranormal investigations of haunted places attract participants eager to test their courage against the unknown. Ultimately, the enduring allure of haunted places lies in their ability to mirror our deepest fears while challenging our understanding of reality. They remind us that the past is never truly buried, that pain and injustice leave indelible marks on both people and places. As we walk their haunted halls, we are forced to confront not only the spirits said to inhabit them but also the ghosts within ourselves, the regrets, doubts, and unanswered questions that linger long after the wounds have healed. In doing so, we find a strange comfort in knowing that we are not alone in our fears, that others have walked these same paths and emerged, shaken but alive, to tell their stories. As we bring this chilling journey through the most haunted lighthouses on the West Coast to a close, one thing becomes abundantly clear: the spirits of the past refuse to be silenced. Each creaking floorboard, each whispered name, and each fleeting shadow serves as a testament to lives lived, lost, and lingering in the spaces we dare to call haunted. These stories are more than mere campfire tales. They are fragments of history, stitched together by human emotion, tragedy, and the relentless passage of time. They remind us that the line between the living and the dead is far thinner than we might believe, and that sometimes the most terrifying truths lie just beyond the veil. But why stop here? If these accounts have stirred something within you, a spark of curiosity, a shiver of excitement, I urge you to take the next step. Visit one of these haunted lighthouses yourself. Walk the same halls where spirits are said to roam, stand in the rooms where history's echoes reverberate, and let the unknown brush against your senses. Whether you're a skeptic seeking proof or a believer eager to commune with the other side, these forsaken institutions offer an unparalleled opportunity to confront the mysteries that lie just beyond comprehension. There's nothing quite like experiencing the weight of decades-old despair firsthand, feeling the chill of a presence that defies explanation, or hearing the faint strains of voices from another time. And when you return, share your story. Did you feel the icy touch of a ghostly hand? Hear the faint tap of footsteps in an empty corridor? Or perhaps nothing happened at all. But isn't that silence just as intriguing? Your experiences add to the rich tapestry of lore surrounding these haunted places, ensuring their legacies endure for generations to come. Share your findings with fellow enthusiasts, document your journey, and keep the conversation alive. After all, every whisper contributes to the symphony of the supernatural. Until then, keep your lanterns lit and your courage steady. The spirits are waiting.